After the opening 3 races in the southern states, the most competitive production car series in North America swings north to New Jersey. Still a relatively young circuit, New Jersey Motorsports Park welcomes the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series for the 5th consecutive year. This is the B Positive 200. It's round 4 of the 2012 championship. Hi folks, Lee Diffie along with Speed sports car experts Dorsey Schrader and Calvin Fish. Great to have you with us here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, also known as Thunderbolt Raceway. We'll tell you about that in just a moment. And guys, one of the first things that springs to mind about this place is temperature, because typically we're here later in the year. It has been a blistering hot event in recent years, but we're here many months earlier this year and comfortably in the 70s, I'm happy to say, after last year being well into the hundreds. But Cal, speaking about the championship, this series, in particular the Grand Sport class, is known for its unpredictability, but the last couple of races, not so.
That's right. Very rarely do we see a dominant team out here, Lee, but in the last couple of rounds, boy, the Rum Bum team have been on a tear. They've won the last 2 races since they switched to that Porsche, but has caught everyone's attention, including the series. They've lumped 75 pounds of weight on that car for this weekend. Has that had an effect? Well, they qualify 6th, but don't count out Joe Vardy and the boys for another podium run here today, Dorsey.
Well, the Jack Roush duo of Jack Roush Jr. and Billy Johnson have won the last 2 years in a row here, but this year a little bit tougher. They sit currently 5th in points. However, Jack Roush Jr. is best in qualifying, 9th.
We are going to roll the Kia starting grid in at the top of your screen and get you straight some GS or Grand Sport storylines. And pleased to say that a local team from Pennsylvania is on the pole for the 2nd consecutive race. Yes, that's the Subaru Road Racing team, Phoenix Racing. Keep an eye on that WRX. It is fresh from a podium at Homestead, Miami just 2 weeks ago.
In Thursday's practice session, Paul Dallalana had a very scary moment in turn 1 where the Turner Motorsports BMW had a brake problem. He realized he was going to have a big crash, tried to spin the car, didn't get it quite done. Big impact, destroyed the car, nearly did. Paul went to the hospital. He's been released to drive. He's very, very sore. The crew did a great job. The car will run.
And the Camaro is once again looking strong, Dorsey. The 01 car driven by Lawson Archibald qualifies 2nd. He having flown in overnight from competing at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca yesterday in World Challenge. Great to see him on form. And also John Edwards is back from knee surgery behind the wheel of the Stevenson Camaro. He'll line up 4th today.
Let's stay with GS and hear more from Chris Neville. Chris?
Well, Lee, when the new Aston Martin showed up at Daytona, they showed up with speed. They qualified 3rd that weekend and then went on to finish 2nd at Barber Motorsports Park. But everything got dark and stormy at Homestead Miami Speedway. They had 2 engine failures between the 3 cars. Now, Multimatic and Aston Martin have yet to determine why those engines failed, but this weekend they're going to try an aftermarket rod to try and fix the situation. Well, this team has definitely proved that they can run at the front, but now they need to prove that Aston Martin has the durability to consistently finish at the front. Lee?
Thanks, mate. Let's switch gears to our 2nd class. It is Street Tuner, or ST, and I want you to keep your eyes out for those very familiar blue and yellow BMWs of Bimmerworld. The team from Dublin, Virginia is very strong, and it won just 2 races ago at Barber Motorsports Park, but had a diabolical run at Homestead Miami Speedway with all 3 cars failing to finish. They will bounce back.
And the RRT BMW number 18 is coming off a brilliant win at Homestead and could have been 2 in a row, bar for a mistake behind the pace car at Barber.
Randy Smalley's RSR team got its first win ever here 2 years ago, and last year backed it up. Will it be 3 in a row?
Let's go racing as one of the B Positive heroes, Nathan Silpath, waves the green flag, and it's the pole-sitting car. Look at this, it's the CKS Autosport Camaro that goes right around the outside with Lawson Archen back behind the wheel.
Look at Longy there from 6 on the grid. He's 4th, looking for 3rd on the inside of John Edwards. A brilliant start for the Rum Bum team.
Made it 3 wide all the way around the corner and really showed some muscle up to 3rd.
ST start, and it's Honda versus BMW, and that RRT BMW of Ryan Ellis, a very strong move around the outside.
Look at Edwards really struggling. He's off in the dirt twice there. Oh, the focus gets turned around there. Melee right in the middle. Look at that.
On the side.
That's the
Jameson Riley, right?
The Riley brothers Mazda RX-8 2-wheeled My goodness, what a frantic start here in New Jersey.
Big stack up back there for the T guys. You see right
Bimmerworld,
now.
their problems. Remember, all 3 cars went out early in the event at Homestead. More drama.
Watch what happens right here. The 15 in front. Ford Focus is about to get turned, I believe.
It's James Guay behind the wheel of the 15.
He
Yeah,
did it
gets
to him.
touched by the 31 there, just pinched him a little bit.
And behind that, it all broke out, didn't it? We'll take a look from this angle. You see a lot more of it.
It was that Compass 360 car going off, kind of got everyone a little squirrely. And then Glenn Bacchino is in that 31. He gets hit. Around goes the Bimmerworld car, and then also the Riley Mazda up on 2 wheels. There's damage to one of the CJ Wilson Mazdas as well. Greg, do you have more?
Well, I was just going to fill you in a little bit on the RSR program, and now you can see the value of qualifying up front on pole, clear of all of that melee back in the ST grid. But it is a complete rookie in this category that got pole for RSR, and not in a Mini, which they've won with here the last 2 years, but in a Honda Civic. Corey Fergus, never driven sedans before this season, certainly nothing front-wheel drive, has never been here, puts it on pole, and as a full course caution comes out, in front of that melee was huge. When I asked him, how do you do that? Come to a venue like this you've never been to in an unfamiliar car and do that? He looked at his multiple championship winning dad and smiled and said, it's a Fergus thing.
Dramas here for the Stevenson Camaro. Stranded 80 Bimmerworld BMW for James Clay and John Capestro Dubets. And this Stevenson Camaro is in damage to the right rear under full course caution.
Yeah, Edwards got roughed up there on that first lap. I think that was why he's so sideways. He had the right rear going down.
Lawson Aschenbach was the man who made the move right around the outside. Here's the craziness in ST. We'll take a breath, take a break, come back and get organized and go racing. We are back along the edges of the Millville Airport and Museum. We'll tell you a little bit more about that throughout the show as we welcome you back to the Be Heroes 200. Time to take a closer look at this track, Dorse, on the Kia track map.
2.25 miles in length, some 12 turns. This is a really tough racetrack, guys, as far as passing goes. Very narrow racetrack. It's one of 2 racetracks out here, and this is the one that we call Thunderbolt, named after the World War II aircraft.
That takes us to our Continental Tire race analysis, Cal, as per usual, 2.5 hours. Some interesting numbers on that graphic, though.
Yeah, you can see it there. We've got basically 60 cars out there, more to take, and you know, it's tough around here. I mean, the ST cars aren't that much slower than the GS cars, so the faster GS machines have got to really be careful when they do come around to lap some of these slower ST cars here today.
As Greg Creamer told us, that interesting story about Corey Ferguson grabbing that pole, which was an outstanding job. So too for Brett Spouty, because they got that pole legitimately. Last time they got the pole, it was through a faster car in qualifying, failing post-qualifying tech, so they inherited the pole. But Brett and the WRX for Phoenix Racing and the Subaru Road Race team did a really nice job, as that gives you a good spread of our onboard cameras.
That Subaru, of course, is all-wheel drive, all 4 wheels driving. This racetrack, one of the things about it, look at these corners. They're really long corners. They're like 180s. And that 4-wheel drive really does a good job. As we watch this start again, quite amazing from this perspective.
And Andrew Novich is the car, the 360 car that went up wide on the track. That's Jamison Riley in that RX-8 Mazda up on 2 wheels. At last count, there were about 6 cars involved in that. And Jamison Riley climbed over the top of Nate Norenberg in the APR VW. James Guay, Glenn Bacchino, and obviously Jamison Riley were involved in that. So it was quite the scramble. And here's the man who caught your eye, Cal, at the front. Lawson Aschenbach with that really forceful start. He made a good one.
Yeah, he's had a busy weekend already. Competed yesterday at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. He's been flying between the west and east coasts for the last 4 or 5 days, and he meant business at that initial start. Here we see the restart. Look at that Subaru coming after him.
Biggest mover on the initial start was that Porsche, the Rum Bum Porsche that made up 3 positions. Al Carter in the B-positive BMW for 4-line right there in the center of your screen, number 45, has also made a positive start.
Yeah, who can forget the heartbreak that team had here last year? Had the win, looking likely in the bag. Then they had an electrical issue towards the end of the going. It's been a brilliant victory for them with all of their supporters here. They hope to come back today and make it count.
There are some dominant teams in GS Dorse, and there are some teams that need to check a win off their list. One of them is the team that's leading, CKS Autosport.
No doubt about it. That's a really nice factory Camaro, and those guys struggling. You know, it's a work of art, work of development, if you will. You know, it's 3rd race, and they're really just starting to get the handle on the car.
It's had the speed, certainly has shown the promise, but right now they just haven't ticked all the boxes and executed.
Well, I just saw Jack Rouse Jr.'s car smoking like it's had contact with someone. Speaking of contact, watch the Kia.
This is Matt Pombo. Whoa!
He got turned.
He checked up and just got nailed from behind. Got turned around there as we came back for that restart.
Again, the stack up here, we talked about it in the track map just a little bit. Very narrow racetrack. There's not a lot of maneuvering room. If you're side by side, the whole track is used up. So in an avoidance situation, and you see right there what happens.
Oh, that's Red Odosky aboard the 26 Freedom Autosport Mazda.
These guys have been beat up on the last couple of races.
Yeah, they
pretty
sort of
bad.
like behaved themselves at Homestead after the debacle at Barber, but we're back to Barber mode at the moment, even though it's early going.
Just got a note from race control that a couple of cars will be penalised for jumping that restart. We'll get to that in a moment, but this is what happened to Red Odosky. He just got nailed by the 198.
Chris Bushka there behind the wheel.
Yeah, and he definitely did get nailed too. That was more or less an unprovoked. I would think might draw a penalty.
Yeah, they've been pretty hard on guys with that contact, avoidable contact as they call it. Stop and go penalties have been the norm here in the last couple of rounds of this championship.
Speaking of stop and go, those cars penalised for jumping the restart. The 23 of Mike Lamara in the Burton Racing BMW and the Bimmer World BMW of Dan Rogers in the 82. Up front, Aschenbach, Brett Spouty and Nick Longy. Three very different cars in the top three positions.
Yeah, this is that section of the racetrack you're talking about, Dorsey, but here's a little battle heating up here for the fourth spot. Got the number 45 there of Al Carter and Gunter Schalduck. He's a man who certainly gets the hammer down, looking for the outside. It's a long way around there, though, Dorsey. You're not going to make a stick. There's a lot of marbles out there, too. You can see already developing. The track is going to get really dirty as this race progresses, and so if you make the outside move, your tires are going to get really dirty.
We've seen that here before. As the race miles go on, the outsides of these corners with the spent rubber really get to be greasy. And, you know, I was talking to Jack Roush Jr. right before the start of this race about his 9th place qualifying. I said, what do you think? And he said, well, I tell you, he goes, our car's set up for a long run. It's going to go better, and that's something at this racetrack you're going to see. Here he comes right now, popping his nose out. Speaking of that, some of these cars are going to degrade the tires faster than others, and those cars will fall back into the grip of the guys that are on the longer run setup.
The guys at Mitcham Motorsports have been very pleased with Gunter Schalduck this weekend. He's really shown a good turn of speed all weekend long. For some specific reason, Gunter really goes well at this racetrack, and the 62 will be a player here today, and that will be some relief for Mitcham Motorsports, who have had a frustrating start to this 2012 season in their Camaros, both Camaros, the 62 and the 6. So a good strong run early, still chasing Al Carter down. The top three just have a bit more breathing room over them. This is Chris Pushka, who has just received a stop-and-go penalty for that contact, but he's being self-penalized.
Yeah, he sure is. Left front tire is shrapneled and has killed the whole left side of that car, Calvin.
Yeah, he's gonna bring it in, do the repairs, and unfortunately he's gonna have to come back in again to serve the penalty. You can't do any servicing on a stop-and-go penalty, so this will really kill their day.
It's also going to put a lot of debris out on the racetrack. All of that carbon bits and so forth will be laying out there, along with the pieces of rubber you saw from the tire that's been shredded from being a puncture. This is bad.
And here come the race leaders. There goes Lawson Aschenbach, Brett Spouty. They've got a little gap over Nick Longy, and then a further gap back to the first of the four-line BMWs with Al Carter.
We talk about Randy Smalley Racing having won the last 2 years. Both those years have been in the Mini Cooper, like you saw right there, but they switched this year to the Honda Civic. That is the one that that Corey Fergus put on the pole.
Late move. That was Marcel diving down the inside there on Paul Dallalana, but that wasn't going to work. Fortunately, he wound it up in time.
Take a look at the 51 Mustang right there. That's the other Roush Racing, Shelby Blackstock. That car had a big crash also on Thursday's practice. Had to be sent to a local Ford dealer to the frame stretching machine and be stretched back. It was about 2 foot shorter than that the other morning.
Spoke to Jake Buford's dad just a few moments ago before the green flag flew here today, and he said the car was faster this morning, so all credit to that Roush group in getting the car not only repaired but faster than it ever was.
Had both back end and front end damage. Most of it was the right rear. The back tail light almost all the way up to the back window opening, if you will. So we'll show you some still pictures of that car as it was after the crash.
And went to that local Ford dealer to get repaired.
That's the good end of it. This side not so pretty. As you can see, it's pushed that whole left rear corner. And that's how, as I saw it last night coming back to the racetrack.
Yeah, it was done at 8 p.m. last night. So the guys from Roush Performance did a really nice job to get the 51 out there to partner the 61 and try and take those red machines up front where they're used to being. Meanwhile, Randy Smalley's boys go to work on Pushka's car. It's been an eventful start. While we were away, there has been some crazy action on track. This is George Richardson getting together with Rich Golinello. Golinello had a good save there, but this was scary. Derek Whitus and Andrew Novich contact on the front straight, and a really aggressive contact with that tyre barrier. This is how it looked for Whitus.
Yeah, on board there with Derek, who's in the middle of the road trying to defend. Andrews down the outside, and then as he got to the brake zone, he tried to turn across him, and that wasn't going to work. And here we see a strategy call before the 30-minute mark for driver points. They pull Nick Longy out of the car, put Matt Plum in. So once again, Joe Vardy playing the strategy game. They should be good to go to the distance on one more stop, splitting the halfway point in about an hour's time, I would suggest.
Keep in mind they're going for 3 consecutive race wins, and a man who was right in the middle of that nasty crash, the man they call Rattlesnake. Here's Derek Whitus.
Yeah, Derek Weiss just getting out of the 25, handing it over to Tom Long. And Derek, we spoke to the Compass 360 team just a little while ago. They felt that Andrew possibly got turned by you, but you obviously see it a different way.
Well, he absolutely got turned when he came in front of my car not knowing how to drive. You'd think the guy would go take a couple more lessons. But, you know, the worst part is this Freedom Autosport team did an amazing job doing an engine change before qualifying. They did it in about 90 minutes. They thrashed on the car. And not only are we here to have fun, we're here to say thanks to all the men and women who've been defending our country for 237 years. And thanks to Moz. And it's a shame that you got some kid like that messes up, doesn't deserve to be out there, and gives this team the finish like that. But we're still thankful for those that do what they do. Happy birthday to Courtney. Love you.
Well, and he's committed this week, and he was bit by a rattlesnake on his right big toe this past week, and he's out here racing this weekend.
Rumor is he ate the rattlesnake after it bit him.
Well, that's what he told everybody, but I spoke to his wife earlier, and she said it was an ingrown toenail. So we'll go with the rattlesnake story anyway, Derek.
Either way, his toes are still better looking than yours, Lee.
All right, back to the racing, and life is good for CKS Autosport at the moment. Lawson Archenbach has led from turn 1 to now over the Subaru WRX of Brett Spouty, and then the B Positive BMW for Al Carter is up there. B Positive is presenting this event, the B Positive Heroes 200. We've got a lot to tell you about that throughout the course of this broadcast. So it's great to see Al Carter up as high as he is.
Yeah, he's doing a tremendous job, and he's really one to come along as really one of the best, if not the best, pro-am drivers. There are guys who earn their living competing in this series, and there are other guys like Al who do it for the fun and just want to be out there. But boy, are they proving themselves. He's done a tremendous job over the last couple of years.
Ooh, pulled the front tire completely off the road right there when he bounced the curb. That's a really fun corner coming on this front straightaway flat out, but you got to really watch using that curb.
Look at Lawson there, really dancing the rear end around on that Camaro as he dives on the brakes there down for turn 1. Here comes John Edwards. He's on a recovery drive. Remember, he had that flat right rear. They made that change, and now he's barreling his way through this field. He's got a fast car underneath him.
That's a number 9 Camaro, Stevenson Camaro we're looking at right there. He's working to the inside.
Trying to get by the 46 4-line BMW. Guys, speaking of 4-line, bad news for the 45 of Al Carter. Also the 51 of Shelby Blackstock and the 78 of Steve Randall. All have been assessed to have jumped the restart and will get a stop and go.
Yeah, they're pretty strict on that. You have to stay line astern. You're not allowed to even break the park. Forget making a pass door, so you got to stay right behind the other car. If you break line, you're going to get that penalty.
They want orderly starts where everybody's nose to tail to one another. They don't want anybody peeking out, looking, and so forth.
But switch classes to ST, and we ride with Andy Lally. This is Ryan Ellis up front in the RRT BMW. Well, he was until that outbraking maneuver. Wow. Nice work from Lally.
There wasn't a gap, but Andy made one.
I was going to tell you know how narrow it was. There wasn't room there, but Andy made some room. You got to do that, and that's what aggravates people. People get kind of aggravated with one another driving at this racetrack because that's the kind of aggressive move you have to make to do good around here.
There's the one of 2 Multimatic Ford Focuses in the mix there as well. Brett Seafuse is in there. James Gouet's in there. Glenn Bacchino, who is in the 31, sharing that ride with Pierre Klein-Newbing this weekend. They're well placed in 4th.
Spoke to Nick Johnson this week about the Homestead race where they fell back a little bit. He said, I made a big call on the grid essentially to disconnect the front sway bar. We thought it was going to rain. It'll soften the car off, make it have a lot more grip. He said the track dried out. He said, I was toasted in that race and just went backwards. But still, they come into this round with the championship lead looking very strong again.
Look at Brett Seafuse in that Jimmy John 16 Ford Focus. This is a good, strong run, and now he's putting pressure on Ryan Ellis, who won the last round. Could have actually won the last 2 rounds, Cal.
Yeah, I mean, they were lined up. Remember, they were right behind that Mazda that had not made a pit stop till very late in the going at Barber. The Mazda made a mistake passing the pace car, and this 18 car went with them and cost them a certain victory there. So it could have been 2 in a row. And qualifying on the front row here again, this team is really going to be a factor for this championship. They've got Ellis and Martin Jensen, the Dane, behind the wheel. I mean, they are 2 very strong young drivers and a strong team and a strong car.
Take a look at Brett Seafuse right there in that Ford Focus, and you notice that he's got damage to the nose where he's been pushing on somebody just right above the Ford emblem, and the left rear quarter panel, that bumper cover is coming loose on there, so he's been in close contact with on both ends.
Well, one driver who has driven just about every style of car is standing by with Chris Neville. He also drives one of these Ford Focuses, by the way, too. Chris?
Yeah, Gunnar Jeanette and Multimatic developing this Ford Focus this year to turn it over to customers next year. And Gunnar, you guys made some big gains on this car with the differential. What were the things that you learned about it?
Well, from the beginning of the program, we basically had a very stock differential in it. So we had a bit of a one-legger, because when you go to put the power down, it just spin up the inside tire really fast, and you'd actually smell rubber before you could actually realize you had wheel spin. So we've just been working on locking that up. A limited slip differential uses a ramp style. It's pretty complicated, but what we've been doing is just fine-tuning that in order to get the right amount of slip and the right amount of drive.
Yeah, they're saying now they just need to focus on some shock development, then that car should be at the front.
Little problem coming on the front straightaway here. A couple cars involved. The Camaro, you see, that is going back and forth, almost an indication that either has got a tire down or a suspension problem.
Look how crazy this is coming down to turn 1.
Whoa.
This is a really fast corner. I said this before, that you're coming through here in top gear flat out, and that was contact at the apex, Calvin. Not a thing you want to do.
Yeah, it reminds me of the downhill at Lime Rock in terms of its speed. There's a lot more runoff area here, which is a good thing.
Ashley McCalmont in the Camaro and John Ferrano in the 83 Porsche. Ashley was involved in a nasty incident here a year ago at New Jersey Motorsports Park, so this is not her place. Whoa, look at this, it's on.
It really is. This is a great battle up at the front here.
That's James Guay in the 15.
Look at him working both sides. It's not blocking yet, but it's about to be. Be a positive BMW up the inside, contact there.
GS and ST mixing together.
Yeah.
We talk about the speeds of the ST. They got good mechanical grip around this slow part of the racetrack, so there's not a big difference in speed. The GS cars really have to force the issue.
And that was Al Carter coming through after that stop and go for jumping the start, so there'll be a little extra aggression on board that car at the moment.
This is Matt Plum, of course, now behind the wheel of the Rumbum, having the strategy call from Joe Vardy to get Nick Longy out, Matt Plum in, and he's scything his way through the field. So even with 75 pounds on board, this Porsche is flying once again here.
There is a story emanating about the 13 and maybe some loss of oil. Can you tell us more?
Well, there's been some corner workers that have reported to Grand Am that there's some smoking going on in the 13. They thought it was potentially dropping some oil on the racetrack. But I just checked in with team owner Joe Vardy, and he said the problem is there's just some marble pickup or bits of rubber that have got on the exhaust, and that's what you see smoking on that car.
And one way to tell, Chris, is that if you look at the back there where it says 13, if it was an oil leak, that will be getting darker as the oil gets splattered across the back of that bumper. I don't see anything there whatsoever. That rubber on these Porsches, the exhaust system on the Porsche is down underneath the engine. So when the rubber comes off the tire, it lays on top of the mufflers or on top of the headers, and it melts and it, of course, makes smoke.
I love Joe Vardy. I mean, the way he just talks to the official. Oh, don't worry, it's just some rubber. I can see it from here. Like.
And the pressure being put on the 46 four-line BMW of Mark Bowden. He's got a new co-driver this weekend. We'll tell you who it is when we come back. That's certainly what Brett Spouty is doing out there in second place at the moment. And as we welcome you back, the Rumbum Porsche that has won the last 2 events in Continental Tire competition is off track and stopped.
And look at this. Look at this. The steam or smoke coming out of the back of that engine area. They were reporting about that rubber on the exhaust that Joe Vardy was talking about. Might not have been that at all. Maybe it did have a oil problem, Cal.
Yeah, possibly. Here we're on board with the 35 car that runs second. Brett Spouty chasing down Lawson Oschenbach. Going to have a replay here of the 13 to see him suddenly slowing to the inside of the road.
Yeah, he's off song for sure. He's trying to get himself out of harm's way and out of everyone else's way. I don't see any smoke right there coming out of the exhaust or anything.
And that's what has caused this third full course caution. Let's go to the Rum Bum camp now.
Well, moments ago, Joe Vardy told me he thought there was some rubber on the exhaust, but Joe, obviously a little bit more bigger problem with the Rum Bum Porsche.
Yeah, I think we got a rock through the radiator, and it leaked all the water out, and we're done for the day.
Well, too bad for this team as they were trying to go 3 in a row.
This will be a big blow in the points and really gets everyone back in the game, because they had a monster weekend at Homestead. A lot of the other front runners, Lee, didn't have a great points day, so they really spread the gap on the field. This will bring them back to them.
I'm calling him on that hole in the radiator. I don't think that's what's happened at all. I'm looking at the back of the car steaming, and I don't, when you get a whole radiator, you see all that steam and stuff coming out, but we'll know.
It brings us back to one of our storylines at the top of the show of the unpredictability of this championship. It's just so competitive, and anything can happen. Remember, we told you before we went to the break that there is a new co-driver on the 46 four-line BMW for Mark Bowden. This is the 45 of Al Carter and Hugh Plum that had to serve a drive-through penalty. Well, that new co-driver for Mark Bowden is David Donohue. We'll hear from David in just a moment, but first, let's focus on the Be Positive Foundation, celebrating the life of Andrew McDonough and also raising awareness of childhood cancer and supporting them to raise funds and awareness for research. That was a little earlier in the week, as you gathered. Andrew McDonough's father, Joe McDonough, who is an amazing human being, who is the drive behind the Be Positive Foundation. That was at the Alfred I. DuPont Hospital for Children in Wilmington, Delaware. It's the second consecutive year they've done it in conjunction with this event. It's an amazing foundation for a very, very worthy cause, and it's great to have people like Joe McDonough, Hugh Plum, Al Carter in particular, who's a big driver behind this this movement.
Yeah, there's a lot of passion in that camp behind this whole organization, and when you sit down with those guys and they share their stories, I mean, it really is heartbreaking for these young children to be suffering like they are, but certainly got some great people helping them out, and fun to see these guys at the racetrack waving the checkered and the green flag here today.
And appropriately called Be Positive Heroes, because these kids could teach all of us something about being courageous with their struggles in life. Pit stops going on. It will be frantic on pit road. And you see all of the front-running cars coming in. This is the CKS Autosport Camaro that's led every step of the way. Aschenbach's done a good job.
Yeah, Lawson Aschenbach going to turn it over to Eric Curran. This team has had 2 top 10s this year. Both of these drivers have finished on the podium at New Jersey in the past in the ST class, not in the GS class. So they're hoping to have a good finish today, trying to get Camaro its first win of the year. But this team looking very strong on this pit stop, doing fuel tires. Eric Curran getting behind the wheel. Greg?
Virtually everybody in on this end as well. Both of the fall line cars, great stops. Donahue into the 46. 48. Oh, and contact as the 46 a little further up got side to side with the Subaru. So bump there. A little slow stop for the 97 Turner BMW, but they're away as well. And a little bit further up, it looks like pretty much everybody has stopped. But that was very close. There was definitely contact with that 46 and the that blue Subaru. So have to see if any damage there. The 97 is still stopped. Finally down off the jacks and away.
We told you it was going to get frantic. It most certainly did. Let's have a look. This is Andrew Aquilante, who will have taken over from Brett Spouty. Pulls the... Oh, there was contact with the Stevenson car, and then that's the Charlie car.
Out to the fast lane, so a little bit... I'd put the blame there on Andrew. You got a guy was coming. I mean, you're supposed to give way. The rule is if the car's coming out, you got to let him blend, but... That was a little bit late to cut over to that fast lane, Dorsey, in my book.
Yeah, there's a speed limit on pit lane, and of course one car's at that speed limit, and you're trying to leave your pit lane and trying to get up to that pit lane speed limit, but still there's a blend that needs to be done. It's a dangerous situation with people on pit lane.
I agree with you, Lee. I think he clipped the car getting out of his box, or he hit some equipment or something, it looked like.
Of course, if he hit equipment, there'll be a penalty involved with that. It's another dangerous situation.
These guys are highly motivated at the moment, though, from the Subaru Road Race team after their podium at Homestead. They're trying to go all the way to victory lane here today. So wonderful stuff there, wonderful stuff here for the 55 Multimatic Aston Martin, the Vantage, the V8 Vantage, with Tonis Kasemets behind the wheels. They stayed out on that last caution, did not come in, and They are doing a very nice job. At one point in time, was Aston Martin 1-2.
Yeah, a lot of people have talked about how strong this car is, but there's been a lot of action so far, Lee.
Let's get you back to a race recap to the beginning of the race, and this is in the ST or Street Tuner class there. And about 6 cars involved in this, and it topped off with Jamison Riley bicycling it. He gave us his onboard footage. The Riley Racing Mazda. This is what it looked like for Jamison.
Watch him here. Does a good Joey Chitwood. Gets it up on 2, brings it
Nice.
back.
That was cool.
Ouch. This was not so nice. This was scary.
Yeah, Andrew Novich just tried to come across back towards the correct racing line, but hadn't cleared Derek White. As contact between the 2 cars, a massive hit for Andrew. And this was significant. You see there, clip in the pit box of the car in front of him. This Andrew Akalani in the 35 Subaru, and then moving over into that fast lane. That got him a penalty.
Problems here for the 13, what we think is possibly an engine failure. They say it was a hole in the radiator, but our points leader out.
Yeah, they won't get 3 wins in a row, and this was scary for Martin Jensen in the RRT BMW. They've done their stop, they've done their driver change, they're in good shape until this. We are unsure of the cause, but that's the end result. Then, some crazy racing going on, which was thoroughly enjoyable. Tim Fox up ahead in that Aston Martin. Whoa, Andrew Aquilante splits him, and there's Eric Curran on the outside.
That was fantastic. That really says it all about this series in terms of the action you'll see week in and week out.
Here's the number 35 Subaru with a penalty for hitting the equipment on pit lane, which is stop and hold for 30 seconds.
And Tim Fox is one of the luckiest drivers around, because this very expensive Aston Martin didn't get a scratch on it after that, and the entire GS field coming down upon him.
You can see Matt Bell there, though, immediately in problems as he clipped someone there in that incident and flattened another tire. Second one of the day for the 9 car.
In the ST class, Chip Herr is doing a super job for iMoto in that Mazda Speed 3. He leads Robert Stout, and then Owen Trinkler is fast coming in that white Honda you can see at the top of your screen for RSR. And remember, the team RSR, that's Randy Smalley's boys, are going for 3 wins in a row here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's one of our storylines that we are following.
Yeah, Trinkler's been really quick in that Civic, and it's the 2011 Civic, not the new car like the Compass 360 boys are campaigning, and that is still showing really good form. It's been really fast this year, and Owen and that team are going for 3 in a row here, and that would obviously be in a different car to the one he's won the last couple of years in the Mini.
Great weekend here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Of course, it's Mother's Day weekend. Let's meet a very talented son with a pretty famous mother.
Yeah, Reba McEntire here cheering on her son, Shelby Blackstone, again this weekend. Reba, you've made it to all the races this year, cheering on your son, but obviously, good little present this weekend, probably him doing well.
Well, we're doing as good as we can do right now. We're having a good time here together on Mother's Day weekend. I love to hang out with Shelby at the races. It's new for me. I love it. Great Mother's Day present.
And Shelby, we were talking earlier, you said just a couple years ago she wasn't a big race fan, but now that you're racing, she's watching Speed all the time.
Oh yeah, when I'm on it, she's watching it, and I'll catch them eventually watching some ALMS or just want to hear some races here and off, but yeah, she watches a lot.
Yeah, Shelby Blackstock and Jade Buford had a tough weekend with that crash early on, but right now running the top 10.
What a story it's been for the 51, the Roush Performance team. Great to see Reba here again. She doesn't make it to every race, but most of them, and Shelby's doing a good job. So too is his young teammate Jade Buford. These 2 young men are forming quite the duo, and this is probably the most consistent run they've had this year, Dorse.
Yeah, they've done a good job, considering again that they didn't get much track time on that Thursday practice, when it was in fact Jade Buford who put it backwards in the wall, really shortened up the back of the car. They had to send it in town again to a Ford dealer and have the frame stretched back out, and then the Roush guys went and did their magic, and you can see the car running fine.
Yeah, and this is a legitimate 6th spot that he's running right now. All of these front runners essentially are on the same strategy, other than the leaders, Tony Kazimierz, who hasn't pitted yet, but the other boys all pitted about 11 laps ago, so they'll all be looking at one more stop. So a lot of strategy as to when you take that stop will play out yet, but he's the meat in the Turner boys sandwich at the moment.
Been an eventful day for the B Positive 45 car of Al Carter Hugh Plum. Al's been in the real thick of it. He's had a couple of penalties. He's come back from those, and the car is just outside the top 10 and trying to get it up there and get a good points finish for the Be Positive Foundation. Let's hear from his co-driver.
Yeah, Hugh Plum, it seems like some of the busiest people on pit lane in this race have been the officials with some of these penalties. Al's had 2 of them. You guys are sticking to a strategy plan, though.
Yeah, the idea was to try and leave him in, but unfortunately we've left him in and now received our second penalty, which, you know, I guess we do what we say, or we do as they say. So, you know, I don't know exactly what happened. He was called in for 2 penalties. So.
And obviously what you're planning on, you're trying to leave him in as long as you can so you can do this in just 1 stop. That's still doable?
Yeah, I mean, the way the yellows are going, I think it's still very possible. So hopefully that will gain us some positions back. But, you know, it's hard to say at this point, but that's what we're trying to do, yeah.
All right, well, good luck, Hugh. And, you know, this is a big thing for this team, this Be Positive organization, especially for Al Carter. He is a former cancer survivor himself, so a special connection to this weekend.
And those 2 penalties, one was initially for re-jumping one of the restarts. The other one was for alleged contact with the 140 Aston Martin Vantage of Tim Fox. We did not see that, so obviously race control got a report from a corner worker. So there's been plenty of action here on track at Thunderbolt Raceway, New Jersey Motorsports Park, including this. Contact between 2 rival Mazda teams? No, it was between one of the Honda and Mazda teams. That's Jason Saney going for a wild ride. New race leader here in round 4 of the Be Positive 200 in the 2012 Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. Some important figures there on your Continental Tire race recap. And the attrition rate has been quite high already. But Eric Curran is a man in a hurry. He's a man on a move. He made a turn 1 inside move on Tonis Kasemets for the lead. Kasemets has since pitted in that Aston Martin, and Scott Maxwell has taken over. We'll update you on where they are. And speaking about playing the catch-up game, the 35 Subaru WRX of Andrew Aquilante is down in 13th position in class. Here he is. He served a big penalty, and he's trying to make up for lost ground. Now, not all weekend long, he and Brett Spouty have been running at this quicker pace. I didn't know the boys were ventriloquists.
Saw right there that it's an automatic, but it also has paddle shifters up there on the steering column as we watch them take that car around.
Well, it's a beautiful car, the BRZ, and as you mentioned, if you didn't pick up in that piece, it is available from dealers and dealerships later this month, and it's around about the $25,000 mark. Let's go to the Subaru camp now and hear from Brett Spouty. He's with Greg.
Well, just some remarkable developments in the pipeline for the cars that the consumer is available to buy. You guys have been living proof of this weekend that practice and qualifying is one thing, race is another. Then this has been an absolute war for you guys today.
Yeah, we had a really good first stint, 50 minutes of just good run. Ran down Lawson there a little bit at the end. I was kind of hoping we'd stay green. I think we had something for him. But pit stops, you know, had a little bit of problem on the exit. Got a stop and go, and then we got another stop and go after that on the outlap. So unfortunate events, but I think we're going to bounce back from pretty nice. Andrew's working his way up. He's staying pretty calm and collect, so I think we'll be okay for the long run.
Well, and as this track, as more racing gets on it, if it gets greasy, there are a lot of cars dropping tires. That all-wheel drive pays off huge. And you know, regardless of the problems you've had, the pace has been superb these last couple races.
Yeah, we've made some pretty good strides. It's been a long time coming, but our Subaru WRX STI has been awesome the last couple of events. Qualifying's been spot on. Team's giving us great cars. We're turning the corner. You know, we're going to start being more of a up-front figure. So we're looking forward to the summer stretch. We're going to do good. We're going to carry it through. We're going to go to Lime Rock, and we're going to end the year great. So.
Well, obviously, guys, that's why they hold the races. It's been an adventure.
Well, the car's certainly quick, Dorsey. I mean, they've had the fastest lap of this race, a 1:30.1. There's only one other car in the field that's done lap times even close to that. That's Eric Curran, our leader, at a 1:30.5. So the car's got some pace. They're back up to 11th, so maybe they can still look for a podium here today.
And Greg Creamer brings up a really good point about this racetrack. It really gets dirty to the outside. It's a narrow racetrack anyway, and every time you go to pass a slower car, you got to go out there where it's very slippery. It takes a while to recover from that, and that plays into the hand of the Subaru, no question question about it. As this race goes on, it could become strong.
Ryan Eversley, who is a championship contender in ST this year, he and Ray Mason are leading the way in ST. It's another Honda, but a different team. Owen Trinkler is in second, and he is only 1.5 seconds behind. Going for 3, Team RSR. We'll see if they can do it. We're back at the Be Positive Heroes 200, honouring and raising awareness for the Be Positive Foundation and the story behind Andrew McDonough. And let's bring you up to speed on what has gone down. And Turner Motorsport bringing the 96 in. This is just moments ago. And also the race-leading 01 of Eric Curran brought the CKS Autosport Camaro to pit road. How will this all shuffle out with only 54 minutes remaining? We're about to find out. Remember that Aston stop. It was one of the first. It stayed out longer, and it was the first to believe they could make the run to the end.
Yeah, all these boys underneath an hour now to go. They should be good to go on fuel, and I think the key part is that their fuel stops will have been a bit quicker than the Aston. The Aston basically needed the full fuel load. The other boys, that was their second visit to pit lane, so their pit stop should have been a bit quicker, and I think we'll see that as things shuffle out here with the final pit stops.
First time this year that this car, the Jack Roush Racing 51 Mustang, Jade Buford behind the wheel, Shelby Blackstock is leading the race. Of course, it has not made its pit stop yet, final.
And remember how this car started the weekend. Smashed up, bashed up, crashed up, and now it's a race-leading car on pit stop rotation. But with that being said, Jade Buford was in second place, so it's been a great run, the best run we've seen this year for the 51.
Troubled start for sure, but they've been really clean. Like I said, they didn't get much track time with that one day lost while they repaired this car. But this is the team that's won the last 2 years in a row, though.
Yeah, certainly the team knows how to win here. But I tell you what, it's good to be out front here and getting a little bit of glory. But if you wait too much longer, if you get a yellow, it is going to absolutely kill you, because the pit lane is closed at that point. Everyone who stopped is going to basically shuffle all the way in front of you, and you'll be at the back of the pack. Yes, your tires will be a little bit fresher. That is the only positive.
Real quickly, we should talk about the 61, the team car, Jack Roush Jr., the car that has won the last 2 years. We haven't talked about it in a long time. The reason for that is it's got a overheating problem, that it's losing water in right-hand corners. It's been repeated pit stops to put water in that car, so they're limping along.
96 is Ben Klukas, the young British driver, doing a good job. It's not the first time we've seen him in this championship. He's driven BMWs for the likes of Kinetic, etc. So doing a good job for his co-driver Paul Dall'Anna, who's a little stiff and sore, but I'm sure he's kind of trying to smile, Greg, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, it's a smile through gritted teeth, I think. Paul, they were just talking about cars that started the weekend with big hits, and obviously yours was big. First of all, how you feeling?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better day by day here, but yeah, we lost our brakes in turn 1 on Thursday's test day and took a pretty big hit. I got to give the Turner boys credit for getting the car back together and allowing us to have a chance at this race. So I'm a little sore, but the guys have really done a heck of a job to turn it around.
Well, and obviously Ben Klukas has come in, and Will told me he liked him when he watched him last year with how he worked traffic, which is always an issue here, and how he worked the car and kept it clean. And obviously you were sort of a little trepidatious first time back in the car, but it seems to be going okay.
Yeah, you know what, Ben came in knowing that he had some pretty big shoes to fill in Bill Oberlin, who's out in California this weekend. So I give him full credit. He's jumped in, he's a quality guy, real nice teammate, and he's doing some nice laps. So I think, it's always a dogfight here at the end, so it's going to be tough, but I think he's putting on a good show right now.
Well, and we knew you'd be back in the car. You're Canadian, you played hockey, you know how to fight through pain, but let's get back up the other end of pit lane with Chris with Roush.
Yeah, it was Billy Johnson and Jack Roush Jr. who came out of the box this year with that win at Daytona, but then a trip at Barber Motorsports Park, they had radiator problems there. Well, as Dorsey was saying, I think we've got some more radiator issues here this weekend. Billy Johnson has been to pit lane now 5 times in about the last hour. That car, they saw a radiator issue yesterday. They changed out that radiator. Now they're having radiator issues today. It seems that the car is spitting out water in the right-handers. So every time they have to come to pit lane, they've got to put more water in it.
Blown engine here, guys, on the 75. I'm seeing oil underneath the car, and there was fire. You see the smoke there. I think it is probably burning. Worst thing right now would be to lift that hood and give it oxygen. Look under the car, underneath the side, you can see oil pouring out from the oil pan.
Big championship implications here. Ryan Eversley is 3rd in the championship in street tuner. He was the class leading car. He and Ray Mason, this is a nightmare for the Compass 360 boys.
Yeah, we've seen some big championship contenders take a big hit today, Dorsey, with the 13 car in the GS category, this one, the 18 BMW, all of these guys, big factors.
Well, just checked in with team owner Carl Thompson, and he said, yep, that car blown up, guys. Tough day for them. They were out front. They had a nice, comfortable lead. Owen Trinkler behind them, but their day's done.
Full course caution,
and
guys.
And the 61 back in for what looks to be more water.
Yeah, 4th time for the full course caution. This one, of course, for that blown engine, as you see Billy Johnson coming in. They're going to put tires on, trying to get as much speed as they can out of it.
Yeah, but think about the 51, though, Dorsey. It was leading, and the pit lane is going to be closed here. This is going to kill him, and that's what we talked about. When you get into your window, you're really gambling by staying out there. He's probably going to drop way back to, I'd say, somewhere between 12th and 15th after this stop now.
Well, you always say that, Cal, don't you? Irrespective of what's going on out there, as soon as you know you're in your window to get home on fuel, take your stop, make your stop. Don't roll the dice too much. So it's all going on here, but it's been a very tough day for Compass 360. 2 cars out. And while we're away, let's bring you up to speed on what occurred to the then race leading car of Jade Buford. Came in for a stop. He needed that stop to get all the way to the end on fuel, and he stalled it at the end of pit road, and Dorse couldn't refire it.
Now, hot engine didn't like to restart. He's sitting down there trying really hard to crank it and get it going. In the meantime, other cars making their pit stops from behind him are going to come around.
And one of those cars is a rival GS car. That one there, the 35 of Andrew Aquilante for the Subaru Road Race team. So we bring you back to the cars coming to green. We are hoping to end this full course caution shortly in the B Heroes 200 here at Thunderbolt Raceway, New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Good look at all the debris, Calvin, on the racetrack. We talk about that happening here a lot. And spent rubber laying all around the outside makes it difficult to pass when you go offline.
Subaru pace car pulls to pit road. We're ready to go racing. We said a moment ago, BMW, the ultimate driving machine. There's 2 of them at the front of this field. Charles Espenlaub, former series champion, leads David Donahue in the 46 four-line car. They are sister BMWs. And we go back to green racing here with Eric Curran in 3rd. Keep an eye on that black Camaro. And then the 96 Turner BMW of Ben Klukas.
Yeah, 4 BMWs in the top 6 as we went back to green here. Will they be a factor for the win here today? They're the 2 Turner boys. Nose to Dale there. Boris said, and Ben Klukas, the new boy on the team. Boris is going to try and make his move early.
Boris on the 97 right there working door-to-door handle with his teammate. Does get the pass done.
Speaking of teammates, look at those Porsches there. That's from the BGB camp out of Florida. It's Dave Empringham in the Tower Events 83, the silver and blue one. And then JFD, Jean-Francois Dumoulin, a name we haven't heard for a while, but he is a former front-runner in this series over the years, and it's good to see JF back.
It is. They had an amusing, well, not amusing to the team owner. They got together in practice the other day. Em actually got in the back of JF, stuck the brake and the throttle at the same time, turned him around in the fence. He felt so bad about it. He stopped the car in the middle of the session, pulled over, got out of the car, said sorry, then got back in the car and drove it back to pit lane to tell TC what happened.
Real gentleman racer. I'm just sorry about that.
And look who has arrived on the scene just right there. The Subaru is in the mix. Andrew Aquilante with plenty of aggression inside the helmet. Because of those penalties, etc., is ready to play catch up, and he's tucked in behind Scott Maxwell here.
One of the cars down a lap, the 6 in the middle of that fray right there is the black Camaro. Is leaking oil, guys. You can see it smoking. That could be a problem.
Look at this. What a move by Aquilante. Certainly showing the grip and power there of that Subaru going inside Scotty Maxwell.
This is the Subaru Road Race team's home track. Andrew and Brett feel very comfortable here. We switch to ST and Owen Trinkler. Remember the drive, not for 5, but for 3. He's going for 3 wins in a row here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. The previous 2 have been in the Mini Cooper S's. He's on board here, the Honda Civic. Be a great accomplishment for the team. He leads Nick Johnson, and Seth Thomas is flying the flag for Bimmerweld in 3rd at the moment. We mentioned one of the Kinetic Kia cars. Let's go and hear from Andy Lally.
Well, Andy Lally and Nick Janssen are leading that ST championship. And Andy, I talked to your teammate earlier in the weekend. He said you guys were going to start playing it a little bit conservative. But in the early going of this race, you went from 7th to 1st. That doesn't sound too conservative.
You know, we try here, but this racing in this series is just so epic that the green flag drops and you get that charge in your gut and you just want to go. But our Infinity Audio Forte Coupe is running really strong here. I got an awesome teammate out, and he's charging right now, trying to take the lead. So I'm pretty happy with our position here. We've got a good padded lead in our points here. Now we just need to stay smart to the finish. But I know Nick, he's really smart, but he hates losing, so he's going to be full tilt with the bit in his teeth here, trying to get our key to the win here.
And you've really built your career in Grand Am. You're going for your 100th podium finish here, hopefully today. That's got to be pretty cool and hopefully a good notch on your belt.
Don't jinx it yet, but we've got a decent amount of race to go here, and anything can happen in these Continental Challenge Series races. These tires are so good that we run on here that we'll get guys from first back to 12th just charging hard all race long, and I'm sure you guys at home are seeing this right now, and it's going to be a real good finish.
Well, Calvin, I know you were questioning whether they could make it on fuel. Andy says they're good on fuel. I'll check in with Owen Trinkler's team next. Greg?
Well, and another great story that's brewing is with the Bimmerworld team. You know, Dan, within the first couple of minutes, you had all 3 cars in trouble. You guys had to stop and go. The other 2 cars had contact and mechanical damage. You guys have just kept coming back, and you're right in the hunt.
Yeah, no, the BMWs are doing great. Bimmerworld's giving us great cars, and the Continental tires have just been hanging in there. We had some tough luck. Bad contact in turn 2 that James just got caught up in. I was avoiding contact and ended up passing somebody at start-finish, and then the other one had an oil cooler problem. So we've had our share of bad luck, but the crew just keeps coming back and giving us a great car.
Well, I was talking to James earlier, and he said this has been one of the roughest starts to a season that he can remember, but it has really started to come good in terms of pace.
It has, and we've always had the cars. Greg and David won a race. Seth and I were fourth at Barber, and we've been there. It's just we haven't had the brakes. So the cars are great, and the crews, the preparation's great. It just hasn't come, so fingers crossed for today.
Well, one thing Bimmerworld is known for is not giving up, and Mr. Thomas and Mr. Rogers have this car in the hunt in the neighborhood of a podium.
They look really strong, and there's kind of a fun bet going on. We talk about Andy Lally's potential 100th podium here today. There's a bet between the Kinetic boys, the Kia group that he's running with here today, and the Magnus team that he runs with on Sunday in the Rolex race as to who gets that 100th podium first. Nick Johnson has had a bet with the team manager for Magnus. Whoever loses the bet is going to wear Lee Diffie's hamster suit, so that's going to be really fun to see.
I don't know what he's going to do with it when he wears it. That's the next question, but it is going to happen.
Haven't brought it out in many years. We've just got a note from Race Control that the 26 of Andrew Carbonell from Freedom Autosport will get a penalty for avoidable contact. Who was it with? Ooh,
oh dear.
It was one of the CJ Wilson Mazdas, the 04.
Yeah.
That car, that's Mark Miller, it certainly wasn't for position, and that is really costly because Andrew Carbonell is vying for a podium here. He's got Terry Borcheller on his list, then Seth Thomas, so he's not that far from getting that 26 on the podium. That will now not happen.
That's a whole group of the ST guys right there. Nick Johnson, who's in the red Kia, is trying to take the lead back, or not take it over. But he's not too far from Seth Thomas right there in the 82 either. That's a good 1-2-3 battle.
All 3 of these cars are running lap times within a 1/10 of a second of one another, so no one seems to have an advantage at this point. But tire degradation will certainly be a factor in terms of which car is the easiest on the tires as this run continues.
Chris, what about our ST leader, Owen Trinkler? How are they looking?
Well, Lee, just talked to Randy Smalley, team owner, and he said with that caution, they are good to go. Owen was running in fuel conservation mode prior to the caution. Now that they've had it, he said, thumbs up, they are good to go to the finish.
Look at this, the fight is on for the minor positions that may turn into major positions. The 2 Porsche boys are under attack from Andrew Aquilante in the Subaru WRX. The 38 Green Machine is Jean-Francois Dumoulin, and then another Canadian up ahead in Dave Empringham. This is a great run from BGB, but can they survive this onslaught from the Subaru?
Wow, look at the grip that Subaru gets just mid-corner, Dorsey, while the other guys are floating the throttle. He's hard on it, and it really has a tremendous effect around a racetrack like this. Handling and grip is what it's all about through this section of the course.
What makes it so difficult is he gets those bursts of speed in these corners, but there's nowhere to go with it. There really just isn't enough room to get alongside cleanly.
He's got to be smart. He's got to set these boys up, not get too frustrated, keep the tires underneath him.
Still, Charles Espenlaub leads the way as we go for a ride with Mark Pombo on the inside of Pierre-Clyde Newbing, a little sideways style from the Brazilian. The B Positive Heroes 200 has been full of plenty of heroic moves, and there's more going on here in New Jersey. Eric Curran in that black Camaro is just all over. Regular Rolex Series driver, Daytona prototype star, David Donahue in virtually a one-off appearance in this four-line backstage at BMW. He's doing a really good job. He said he's found it quite challenging to transition between the Daytona prototype and this GS, this Grand Sport car in the Continental Series, but he's running second and doing a good defensive job.
He's done a great job, but you can see him even through that section, Dorsey. He's not using the curbs, and Eric has eaten them up, but he's done a great job in holding him off. Eric's given him a few love taps here in the last couple of laps to remind him, like, we both want to win this race. Go put some pressure on your team mate up in front of you.
Well, it's used to pressure, you know, no question about that, but this is a different car, something that he's not 100%, you know, confident or comfortable in yet. So to be pushed on from behind, he's doing a good job not letting that get to him.
He's done a great job. I mean, this is one awesome series, so competitive, the best of the best running this week in, week out, to jump in here and be running in second spot and really just holding his own right here. I mean, his teammate Charles is not getting away from him, and he's getting pressure from Eric Cohen, who's looking to get that Camaro its first win of the season.
One of David's earliest championships was back in the Bridgestone Supercar Series. He actually won a championship in a BMW, and when he was North American Super Touring Car champion, Michael Harvey was his team manager. And Michael Harvey is now the team manager of the four-line organization.
Oh, here we go.
That's where that came. As Curran has a look on the inside, David gives him plenty of room.
Yeah, he got the nose in there clean and proper, no question.
I think Eric made the room. There's a little touch there. You can see that the bodywork is flapping there, so it loosened him up a little bit. And David's trying to hang in there around the outside. Whoa!
That time he gave it up.
This is what we've been waiting to see, not contact. We've been waiting to see this CKS Autosport Camaro really show its full potential. And now it's starting to shine.
Well, like I said, that car's under development. It was new, and they're just working out the kinks. And Calvin, we were talking about it before. Each race has gone a little bit closer toward that front, and now it looks like it's ready to pounce.
Yeah, I think this next lap will be a telltale story. He comes across the stripe 2.15 seconds behind Charles Espenlaub, who has the lead. We'll see what he can cut into. Now he's got clean air in front of him.
Here is the 10 of Nick Jonsson, currently second in the ST class. Owen Trinkler is still leading in the 197 RSR Honda. Seth Thomas is still third in the Bimmer World, the CRC BMW.
Here's trouble for the 16 Ford Focus. Off-road, looks like might have got some help.
That's a tough break for Nick Mancuso, because that Jimmy John's Ford Focus was running very well. So too with Gunnar Jeanette. They've been having a really good battle out there. He's still in the top 10, but can he stay there?
Take a look here.
Young driver from Chicago. He's to the outside there, and he's just going to get freight trained to the inside. A lot of cars trying to plow through. One of the APR VWs there, and just can't hang on to it. He just got too much contact there. You see the front wheels doing its work, Dorsey. It'll pull you out of it eventually, but I think young Nick is going to be a real factor in this ST class this year.
Yeah, guys, talking with Nick Mancuso earlier the weekend, he said that Jimmy John's Focus, they're learning a lot, and especially with the differential, like we talked to Gunnar Jeanette earlier, but he said now the issue is the shocks. They are running an AST shock on there, and that shock seems to build a lot of friction throughout the race, so there gets to be a point in time where the car going through the corners is essentially just bumping around on the tire, and the shock really isn't doing much. So that's maybe what you saw there, that car getting thrown around because those shocks at this point in time are a bit seized up.
Yeah, they're binding up. I spoke to Larry Holt about that exact issue this morning, Chris, and he said, yeah, once we get some heat in those, they're just binding up. We've got to do some work. And I spoke to Gunnar Jeanette. He said, once you've got a few laps on the board, you're really just hanging on for the remainder of the stint. So a little bit of work to do, but that Focus has really shown a lot of potential, Dors.
You can see when it does it, too, because the back of that car just starts bouncing around. There's nothing, no compliancy left in it. It just starts hopping about. In that differential situation on a front-wheel drive car, remember, you're making the front wheels do everything. They're doing 100% of putting the power down. They're doing 100% of the turning of the car, and they're doing about 80%, if not more, of that, of stopping the car with the brakes.
Everybody has said from either side of the pit lane wall that when this car finally gets sorted and these guys have a good run, this car is going to be one to contend with, this car being the Subaru WRX. Well, those days, Cal, are now here.
They are. Let me just give you the lap times for the last lap. The leader, Espenlaub, 1:32.0. The next man, currently 1:31.6. A 1:31.8 for Donahue. A 1:30.3 for Andrew Aguilani. He is coming fast.
This is David Donahue immediately ahead. There's Eric Curran, and the race leader Espenlaub is also within view for Aquilante.
And remember, with Aquilante, he can go off the corner, and he can go off and make a pass in where the dirtiness is, and the all-wheel drive will pull him through that. The other guys, they get offline, they're going to lose a lot of grip and they're going to lose a lot of time.
I think you made a few passes in the dirtiness in your...
Not always on purpose, but sometimes they work.
Coming up on one of the Berg Porsches there, so our top 4 get through cleanly through turn 1. I love that onboard shot through the final turn here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. It is a super quick corner.
It's really a fun series of corners, actually. The last 3 are building speed corners where you just keep on going flat out. When you come on that pit straightaway, boy, you're all tuckered up. It's pretty neat.
We've got one driver standing by who is making his comeback drive, his comeback weekend from injury. John Edwards at Stevenson Motorsports. Let's hear from John right now.
Yeah, John's making his way over. And John, this race has proven to be almost as sketchy as bunny slopes out in Utah. This has been a tough one.
Yeah, it has. And unfortunately, I had to miss a couple races and watch the action from the sidelines in Barber and Homestead. But it was really a relief to get back here and get back on board, especially with the GS program. We've got some new engineering support. And I'm really excited about what's happening with this program. Sadly, had a little contact in turn 1. Matt had to avoid a car and had some more contact, so the car's really been out of shape right now. So we're just making do with what we can right now, but I think later on in the year, with what's happening with our engineering side of the program, we're really going to come back and have some good races.
All right, physically he looks to be 100%. That's good news.
And one thing to put a period on that, it's important to keep going. The 61 of Billy Johnson is still circulating, 22nd in class, and for that, you would still earn 9 championship points. Every one counts right here on speed. Speaking about, well, maybe not hard parts, hard to pass. Eric Curran is making that Camaro very wide for Andrew Aquilante. It's a good scrap. This is for 2nd overall, 2nd in Grand Sport.
Yeah, and this is a corner where that Subaru is really, really strong. Right here, I think it's really in the sweet spot of the gear ratio. And look at him accelerate there. Now we're ready to go, but boy, that really car comes off that corner, Dorsey.
He does, but he's got to have somewhere to go with that speed, and unfortunately, that usually puts you in a high-risk situation. Curran's not going to give him anything. Look at this.
Dors, how hard is it to be Eric Curran? You're looking at Charles Espinlab in this 48 BMW. You want to get up there with the leader, but you're defending from 3rd place.
Well, he's going to have to be more concerned about 3rd place because right now, in my estimation, Andrew Aquilani's the fastest car on the racetrack. He's being held up by Curran right now, and I think if he got in the lead, he's going to be right to the front.
It's a great scrap, Chris.
Yeah, guys, and I just checked in with Lawson Offenbach, and he pretty much said what you said, Dorsey. He thinks he can catch that Beamer in front of him, but all eyes are on that Subaru behind him. They said that car caught them so quick. It's obviously very fast, so right now he's more concerned about defending against that car than catching the Beamer in front of him.
Too late now as the Subaru takes 2nd place. Now watch him reel in the leader. I think he's got a lot of speed.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that Charles Espinlab wanted to see in his rearview mirror is finally that Subaru clearing Eric Curran because he is coming hard. Remember, before he caught Eric, he was lapping over a 2nd faster than these boys, so he's immediately pulled 2 or 3 car lengths. Next man looking for that first win. He's got Espinlab in his gun sights.
Well, this has been a huge weekend. James Hahn from Subaru is actually here. They've got a lot of guests. This is their local, their home race. And these guys have displayed more patience than many in getting this program up and running and building this car at their shop at Phoenix Racing in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. It's been quite the effort, quite the program, and perhaps this race in 16, almost 17 minutes time, that elusive win for the WRX will be theirs.
Let's not forget they've had 2 stop-and-go penalties there today. To serve 2 stop-and-go penalties and come back with about 16 minutes on the board and be in contention for the win, that's unheard of in this category.
And the one for hitting pit equipment was a stop plus 30-second hold, so yeah, quite amazing, if you will. I want to see what kind of speed we got now with 15 minutes left on the board. Everybody's going to show what they have.
Behind these boys, David Donahue maintains 4th. Boris Said is up to 5th, ahead of Turner teammate Ben Klukas. Dave Impringham has dropped to 7th in that Porsche. Scotty Maxwell in the Aston Martin Vantage is up to 8th. Jade Buford has recovered to 9th. Brett Sandberg is 10th in the sister CKS Camaro, but we've just been told he's going to get a stop and go for avoidable contact with Jean-Francois Dumoulin in the 38 BGB Porsche.
We watch these cars when they catch traffic, that when they get traffic, it's going to go into the hands of the all-wheel drive Subaru. Andrew Aquilani has got more maneuverability with that car than Charles Espinlab does in the BMW.
Good job from Big Boris. Boris Said with Michael Marcel, the short and the tall of it all.
Yeah.
But it's been good, actually. I think it's been a solid weekend for Turner, despite that crash from the 96 of Paul Dalla earlier in the weekend on the promoter test day or practice day. It's been a very good day, a weekend for the boys in yellow and blue.
His mechanics are amazing. For them to be able to put that car back together, when I looked at that towed in, I thought that one was for the scrap heap, but they worked hard all night and did a fantastic job to get that car back running.
On board here with Nick Johnson, you can see that white Civic up ahead by 2 or 3 seconds. That is our leader, Owen Trinkler, but right behind this man, there's some pressure coming. Seth Thomas has been doing a tremendous job in the Bimmerwell BMW. I think we got separated a little bit by traffic, but there he is once again. He's not letting him go. And Nick, as we've talked about, is a very smart driver. He's thinking about the big picture all of the time. The way he took that championship last year was superb in strategy, and he'll be thinking about the day in terms of where the other championship contenders are, where they lay, and what he can afford to do. He wants the wins, but he will not risk a championship over one position.
Nick Johnson and Andy Lally come into this round, this 4th round of the championship, with a 12-point lead over the iMoto Mazda pairing of Pierre Kleinubing, Jason Clooney. Jason's not with Pierre Kleinubing this weekend. Kleinubing's back in 6th in class at the moment. This is for the lead of the race. Charles Espenlaub, former series champion, is under siege from Andrew Aquilante.
Aquilani used the outside, inside, outside.
Look at this.
He's going to get him. He got him sideways. That's all it's going to take.
That was really clean driving because Andrew could have forced him there, but Charles was already out in the grey a little bit. Lost some grip, and they are through for the lead. What a performance. 4 pit stops here today, yet they're in the lead of this motor race.
I really like what I saw back there. That was really, really good racing by both cars, giving it their all. And you saw the BMW break loose, good opposite lock. But that was the amount of power lost.
And he is not hanging around to share this racetrack with Charles Espenlaub. It's a family-run team. Joe Aquilante, the father, will be thrilled with this. So too Subaru America. The Subaru Road Race team are leading the B-Heroes 200. He's got company though. Charles Espenlaub on the inside in the 4-line BMW. Traffic is holding Aquilante up, and Espenlaub's trying to capitalize.
We talked about it. There's not a big difference between the ST Speed and the GS through the twisty stuff, and Andrew just got balked there, and you can't afford to turn one of those ST cars around. That will get you a penalty. He had to be patient, and Charlie was all over him.
Charlie needs to push the issue from behind and try to make Andrew Aquilani make a mistake in traffic and take himself out of this race, because I don't think the speed in the BMW is there to do it on its own.
You know, that Subaru's in a class of its own here today, so for Andrew Aquilani, he's got to be very smart here in these last 11 laps. Ideally, he wants to get about a 2 or 3 second cushion on Charles Espenlaub so he can deal with this traffic, but right now, he is in the heat of this battle.
And there is only 11 3/4 minutes to go. Mark Pombo in the 12, running 5th in class.
Stalls it. He's on the outside of the racetrack. You see him trying to refire the car right now.
This is going to elevate Gunnar Jeanette in that multimatic focus.
Too.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, if it won't fire on its own, it's not in a very safe place.
And we see that twisty section once again coming up on one of the Ford Focus. Goes to the inside, so this is good. He's got a clean run through here, and this is where the car is really, really quick. I think he'll stretch to probably a second and a half here by the time he gets back to the stripe, because Charles Espenlaub has now got to deal with that traffic in not the ideal spot.
And there's nowhere for him to go. You see right there, the Ford Focus doing nothing wrong whatsoever. It's in a class lesser, so it's holding its own. It's doing its own racing line. It's going to get by here. But it did cost him a lot of position on the racetrack.
Of course, we've been talking a lot about the remarkable comeback from the race-leading car, the 35. What about a car in ST, the 26 of Tom Long and Derek Whitus? You'll remember at the top of the show, it was that car that was involved in that awful incident right here at the end of the front straight. They were buried in the gravel trap, got back, and they played catch-up, and they're now running 7th in class.
Yeah, no, that's a great run for those guys. Look at this, though. Aquilani's lead now 1.7 seconds, so that was huge there, the traffic factor.
But you saw the number 12 Kia there. Mark Pombo still not able to fire that car. He's sitting on the outside of the racetrack in the S's, and he's not, you know, it's not a really safe place, but it's offline for sure.
Owen Trinkler in the 197, the white Honda Civic, leads the way and has for the majority of the day. It has been a really good day, and with 9 minutes 50 seconds to go, we are going under full course caution
to figured that.
Retrieve that stranded kinetic Kia.
Well, I think if you're going to make the call and there's doubtful whether they're going to get fired, they want to get this cleaned up and give these boys a couple of laps at least to go back to racing. If you wait any longer, you're almost looking at a one-lap shootout, Dorsey.
This is
Take
what
a
happened.
look. Yeah, what happened to the 12 here? This is Mark Pombo. That was almost like something broke. Pretty strange. It's mostly through the corner when I heard something and it just took off on him. I don't know what happened there. That was pretty peculiar, particularly since Pombo's a very good driver.
Hey guys, a question for you. With this full course caution, is that actually a big benefit possibly to Aquilani? Because when they restart, in theory, he'd have clear track in front of him, and it's been traffic. That's been his only problem at this point.
Yeah, for sure, Greg. I mean, the car is the quickest car out there, so he should be able to take off, but you never like to have a restart. I mean, he'd opened up about 1.5 seconds on Charles Espenlaub through that traffic there, so he was looking pretty good. So he's got it all to do now, but the car is quick, it's running well, and you'd have to think that he has the advantage in clean air, as you suggest.
Yeah, normally you'd worry about having to do a restart because it lets the guys behind you catch up, but the way he was showing speed just then, it doesn't make any difference in my book. I think he's just going to drive off.
You got to think Eric Curran's going to have thoughts about getting that second spot away from Espenlaub as well.
That could also help for the win.
This will be what they describe as a short caution, just 2 laps, so we'll sneak in a commercial break. These Phoenix Racing Subaru boys are pumped. Can they convert it to a win? The closing stages of the Be Positive Heroes 200 here in New Jersey, and this is going to be a hectic closing stanza of this race. Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series racing is always exciting. It's always action-packed, but this might take it to a whole new level. Speaking of going to a whole new level, what about Burton Racing and this BMW team? It's a new team to the series. This is an extraordinary performance. They had hardship like you wouldn't believe at Daytona at the season opening race when Terry Borchella just got slammed from nowhere into the wall. It wrecked their car. This is a new race car. They've had a tough go at Barber Motorsports Park as well. And then at Homestead, there was a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel where they finished 8th. Here, they are vying for a podium. It's incredible. They worked overtime this weekend with engine changes, etc. But this little BMW is looking good at the hands of Terry Borchella.
Saw him out there Thursday in the mud, and I mean, it was muddy out here Thursday too. Changing the engine, you know, I felt so bad for him, man. It's the only way you have to deal with it. Taking the one out and putting the other one in and just in about 2 foot of mud and muck.
It's a really nice organization, Dorsey. The car is very well presented. I mean, the look of the team is excellent, and now they're starting to show some results as they find their feet a little bit in the category, which is super tough. I mean, they're really running a base stock engine at the beginning of this campaign, and that was hurting their progress, and now they're starting to get things sorted out.
I talked to them, I said, you know, is this planned? They said, oh yeah, we're good, we're good.
And not to forget that Mike Lamara, after starting, he jumped one of the restarts, had to serve a penalty, then came back from that before handing over to Terry, so a really good team run. There's less than 4 minutes to go here at Thunderbolt Raceway, New Jersey Motorsports Park. Are we going to see the first win for this Subaru WRX?
Look at Curran, he got a great restart there.
This is what Andrew Aquilani needs. He needs a big fight there on second place, and he's going to get it, I think.
Oh, Aquilani got hit by Espenlaub, and Eric Curran had to tuck back into third. Fights on for fourth between Boris and David Donahue, and the scrap is on. Scott Maxwell's in there in the Aston Martin as well.
2 laps is all we're going to get of this.
Look at this, pressure's on. When you're looking for that first win, you're feeling that heat from behind, but the car is hooked up. Look at it go.
I figured that car would pull away, I really did. I mean, he was looking really good, so this is not going to hurt him.
Great job by Espenlaub there, really protecting, because Curran had a great restart. Looked like he had the inside line down into turn 1, but Charles got the job done. These guys really done a tremendous job on this restart, but I don't think anyone can do anything about this Subaru right now. It has really been the dominant car of the day. 4 pit stop compared to everyone else at the front of the packs, 2, yet it still leads.
Now, unlike that, this is the 10 car. This is Nick Johnson trying to chase down the leader, Owen Trinkler. And I think this restart might play into that hands, although Owen's got a pretty good lead right now.
Remember one of our storylines at the top of the show, the RSR team going for 3 wins, and we've just heard that car number 10 that we ride with Nick Johnson will have to serve a penalty, jumping the restart.
That is disaster.
Wow, that is such an unusual mistake for Nick if he did make that move, unless he got stacked up and had to jump out. Love to see a replay of that, because he knows the rules like no one else, and he would be very unlikely to make that mistake unless he was forced to by running up on the pack.
Well, 2 minutes left. I doubt he's going to come in. I think he's going to probably serve. Let's take a look at this replay on the start here.
Oh,
the guy's waving him by.
He gets waved, but even so, even though it's a lap car, you're not supposed to break line until you cross the stripe.
Wow, that's going to be a hard one. When the driver in front of you is relinquishing by waving you by,
that may be their evidence against fighting this.
Well, you don't know that he's not got a gearbox or something hasn't broken on the car. He's telling you, pass me.
So do you stay out and ignore the call?
I think you got to stay out and try and fight the day there. I mean, if the team saw that on their monitors and saw that there was video evidence, they may try and use that with the race steward, Mark Raffoff, in terms of fighting this penalty.
In the meantime, I'm sure he won't come in with less than a lap.
Right. Got to stay out and hope.
Yeah.
For all of you watching who race in SCCA club and national level competition, a lot of you will be very familiar with the Aquilante family and Phoenix Racing. Phoenix Racing services a lot of SCCA competition cars at the national, at the runoffs, etc. And now to step up to this level, both Brett Spouty and Andrew Aquilante going for their first overall win and first win in Continental Tire competition. The Subaru, with their legacy, has won before in ST with Chuck Hemmingson and Christian Scabness. But for the WRX and for this driving combination, in one more lap, they will be able to call themselves victorious.
If it had just slowed up 38 seconds, you wouldn't have to do one more lap. That's how close it was. One more time round, though.
We are hearing from the Managing Director of Competition, Mark Raffoff, that he does not care that Nick Johnson got waved by that slower car. We're going to hear more about this.
Car off in turn one. It may have been one of the four-line cars, possibly Donahue. Definitely saw one of the BMWs off in the weeds there at turn one.
Eric Curran's not giving up on improving his third place to a second place. If he can get by Charles Espenlaub, it will be tough within half a lap. I think that margin's just a little too great.
You still just run as hard as you can. You hope Charles Espenlaub makes a mistake. He gets a punctured tire or anything.
Johnson serving his penalty. Oh, that's going to be hard to swallow. That elevates Terry Borchella to the podium and Seth Thomas to the ST second place. So it's a stop and hold. And Johnson is furious.
He killed it. He's going to spark it too. Nope, there he goes. Might blow it up there.
That kind of tells you a little bit about how he feels.
There's going to be a fiery Swede after this one.
Yeah. This car, though, beatered and battered, has got the class of the field the way it looks.
Certainly has. And everybody in sport, no matter what it is, everybody enjoys an underdog victory. And that's certainly what this has been. Everybody's been saying it for months. It's a great car. It's got potential. It's just not there yet. Well, guess what? It is. It's a home track victory for Andrew Aquilante and Brett Spouty in the Subaru WRX. What a day for the Subaru Road Race team at New Jersey Motorsports Park. And RSR are half a lap away from getting that three-peat.
The three-peat is on, and look at Terry Borchella. He's now in a podium spot with Nick Johnson's pit stop. The Bimmerwell boys in second with Seth Thomas, but it looks right now like the road is clear sailing for Owen Trinkler to get that third win.
Corey Fergus started it with a great qualifying effort, and Owen Trinkler will get 3 in a row. A hat-trick for RSR Motorsports at New Jersey Motorsports Park. 2 with the Minis and 1 with a Honda. Great day for Randy Smalley's boys.
Yeah, Corey Fergus there, his dad John and his mum Rhonda, they'll be excited about this. They've been in the sport a long time. They're very passionate about their boys racing, and this is a great win for those boys.
Corey Fergus coming out of Sports 2000 SCCA, first time in this type of car, front wheel drive, first time at this racetrack. Look at this now, retaliation possibly?
Yeah, look at this. This is what we're talking about.
Oh dear.
Donahue and said, is it? David Donahue and Boris said. Or was it the 96?
Take a look what happens right here.
No. There goes Boris said. It is the 96.
That's
Ben Klukas.
Wow, that's hairy stuff out there. That you're lucky there's so much runoff, because that is a very fast corner.
They were racing to the checkered flag on the grass. The race isn't over until it's over. Well, we knew it was going to be a wild one, but 2 very happy winners, and rightly so. We'll hear from them when we come back. No, it's time to celebrate for the Phoenix Racing boys.
Standing by with Andrew Aquilante, and I'll tell you what, an amazing comeback drive. You guys had to fight through so much. 4 pit stops compared to everybody else having 2 with those penalties. And Andrew, you just kept going.
I'm a little bit speechless at the moment. This has been 3 hard years, and to do it at home, to do it in front of friends and family, to do it from behind. I mean, the pit stop stuff, you know, it sucks, but the car ran awesome. I mean, the Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive here at Subaru's home track, the team's home track, my home track. It's not quite Brett's home track, but we'll make it his new home track. You know, everybody did great. The Continental Tires stuck with us the whole race. And there's too many people to thank. I mean, yeah, Kurt, Bill up in the tower, just everybody. This is great.
Well, you could tell the emotion. You can also tell the energy drain. He had to drive so hard, and Brett, to sit and watch this unfold, obviously, I'm stunned you got fingernails left, man.
Yeah, it was, I've never been in that position before. Unbelievable. I mean, that was just, Andrew did an awesome job. Everything just worked so well. The Continental Tires stuck with it. The car was perfect. I mean, top 2 all weekend. Sit on the pole and
The emotion here is unbelievable and well earned. Chris, similar story, I'm sure, in ST.
Yeah, lots of emotion down here, too. Big smiles. Owen Trinklers gets the three-peat for RSR and his team. Owen, you've won here 3 different times. 3rd different driver, and Corey Fergus, you've won here in a Mini, you've won here in a Honda. What is it with you in New Jersey?
It's these guys right here behind me. Randy Smalley. This goes to Bob Smalley. His dad's going through some stuff. I love this guy. It's awesome. He gave an awesome opportunity 5 years ago. This place just clicks with us. I love this place. No matter if it's a Mini, Honda, whatever it is. 3rd co-driver, Corey, got the pole. Awesome run. Him by him has awesome. Great day.
Corey, your dad knows something about winning in races. Now he's put it on your shoulders. He said it's going to be mid-season. It came a lot earlier than mid-season.
That's right, it did. We weren't exactly expecting this, but I'll take it. It's a great day. I'm very excited.
Good job, guys.
Really thrilled winners, and so they should be. Let's take a look at the unofficial results here at the B Heroes 200 for GS, and a first-time winner. It doesn't get any better than that. Really solid result for the former champs. That's the best they've had this year, and we finally see the potential of that CKS Autosport Camaro. Really good run there.
It was, and a great recovery drive for the 45 boys. The B Positive Foundation, BMW with Al Carter and Hugh Plum there in 5th.
That was a huge comeback, huge comeback. Let's switch gears and look at ST. We've just heard from our winners. Really good. That was one of our stories at the top of the show. We said Bimmerworld will bounce back. They have, with Rogers and Thomas in 2nd. Terry Borchella and Mike Lamara, first podium for that Burton team. That is awesome. And the Little Focus almost got on the podium as well. And Pierre Klein-Newbing with his new teammate, Glenn Bacchino, the team principal. Valuable championship points for Glenn. Let's go back down and hear from more of the guys in the top positions.
Well, the CNC Fall Line BMW of Charlie and Charles doing the job, ending up in 2nd place, and tell you what, a great battle.
Yeah, it wasn't. You know, the Fall Line guys did a great job. We were hoping for a top 5 here, and some of the guys that we compete against had some problems, and you know, we'll move forward and look forward to the championship.
Now, Charlie obviously gave you a car in great shape. Congratulations. Let's get over to Chris with 2nd in ST.
Well, for Bimmer World, Homestead couldn't have been worse, a 38th and a 34th, but for Seth Thomas and Dan Rogers, they come home 2nd today. Great way to rebound, Seth.
Yeah, thank you. You know, the number 82 CRC brake clean car was phenomenal today. It was just one of those days where it kind of started off a little sour for the Bimmer World team, but you know what? To come back to finish 2nd here at Jersey, I mean, I can't ask for anything more. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday, so happy birthday, Adeline.
Congratulations, guys.
All right, it takes us to points, because that's what we're talking about as we fast approach the halfway mark of this championship. And look at that, the Charlie car. The Charlies, they're on top ahead of their teammates Hugh Plum and Al Carter, so 4-line super strong. And we've got a Porsche in 3rd place, but it's not the Rumbum guys. It's a Pro-Am combination of John Ferrano and David Empringham. BGB are contenders.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're going to be a factor, and you see the Rumbum boys dropping down to 4th with their DNF here today. That was a major blow to their championship aspirations.
Dorse, how do things look in ST or Street Tuner? I'm sure it's tight.
They look as normal, I would say, as this is a class that's always close. Of course, it's the Kias up on top right now. Nick Janssen, Andy Lally, reigning champions, defending. Pierre Klein, we would never count him out. He's going to be there all year long.
Speaking of Janssen and Lally, by getting that penalty, Nick Janssen dropped from 2nd down to 16th in class, and that was a tough one. A 15th, I correct myself. 15th in class, so a lot of points lost.
Good job down there in 5th. Izzy Sanchez, along with my old buddy's son, Tom Dyer, with a great 5th place today.
Well, we always knew that it was going to be entertaining here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, just like that. Thoughts as we look ahead, Cal, to Mid-Ohio?
Well, this series never disappoints. I mean, just a major action-packed race, as you can see there from the recap of the race, and we look forward to this championship. So, few of the boys, Dorsey, having problems has really opened up the championships in both classes.
Well, it's glad to see some new cars running really good. The Camaro's fast this weekend. A lot of cars that were good ran into trouble. Leaves it wide open, guys.
And we got a new contender with the Subaru WRX. We congratulate RSR for their three-peat. What a day in Jersey. We'll see you at Mid-Ohio.